The text message from Coco Gauff's camp landed in the inboxes of tennis journalists at 9:47 a.m., and within minutes, the sport was divided. For weeks, the tennis world had been buzzing about Eala's custom Nike jersey, the sampaguita-adorned masterpiece that had sold out within hours, that had broken every merchandise record in Miami Open history, that had turned the 20-year-old Filipina into a cultural phenomenon. But while Filipino fans celebrated, another story was brewing behind the scenes. Aryna Sabalenka, the world #1 and four-time Grand Slam champion, had just revealed that Nike had denied her custom kits for the 2026 season. Her fans were furious, questioning why the most dominant player in women's tennis was being overlooked while Eala received royal treatment. And then, Coco Gauff stepped into the conversation. The American
Coco Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka lock in during warm-up, priming movement, sharpening focus, bodies firing before the final rumble, rival intensity rising as both prepare for battle on court. Now,
The sampaguita jersey was supposed to be a celebration. When Nike unveiled the custom design for Eala at the Miami Open, a clean white base with the national flower of the Philippines woven into the collar and sleeves, Filipino fans erupted with pride. Within hours, pre-orders crashed the Nike website. The jersey sold out faster than any tennis merchandise in tournament history. And Eala, the 20-year-old who had trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy and carried the hopes of 115 million Filipinos, became the face of Nike's expansion into Asian markets. But the celebration masked a growing frustration that had been building in the locker room for years. While Eala received custom sampaguita designs, while Naomi Osaka wore special kits for every Grand Slam, while Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova and Rafael Nadal had all been honored with signature collections, Aryna Sabalenka, the world #1, the four-time Grand Slam champion, the most dominant player in women's tennis, had been told to wait until 2027. The revelation came during the WTA finals in Riyadh, when Sabalenka dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves through the tennis world. "Unfortunately, next season it's not going to be that special for me," she told reporters, her voice carrying the weight of years of being overlooked. "Maybe we should just start messaging Nike Instagram and putting some pressure on. Let's wait for 2027 because that year is going to be sick." Her fans did not take kindly to the news. On social media, the outrage was immediate and fierce. "I low-key don't understand, what does she have to do?" one fan wrote. "She got the same number of slams as Osaka, yet Osaka her customs even for random Masters 1000. Why?" Another question whether the snub was about something deeper. "Do you think it's to do with being Belarusian?" The contrast was impossible to ignore. Eala, who had never won a Grand Slam, who had just dropped from number 29 to number 45 after her fourth-round loss to Karolina Muchova, was receiving custom designs that celebrated her heritage. While the controversy swirled, Coco Gauff was watching from the sidelines, and she had plenty to say. Gauff knew the Nike system better than most. She had been a Nike athlete as a junior, part of the same pipeline that had produced Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova. But when she turned pro, she made a decision that shocked the tennis world. She signed with New Balance. The move, which had seemed risky at the time, now looked prescient. New Balance had not only matched Nike's offer, they had committed to making Gauff a centerpiece of their tennis division. She had her own signature shoe. She had custom kits for every Grand Slam. She had the kind of attention that Nike had promised, but in her view, never delivered. When asked about Sabalenka's situation, Gauff didn't hold back. "I saw what Ariana said, and honestly, it's frustrating to watch," Gauff said in a press conference at the Miami Open. "She's the #1 player in the world. She's won 4 Grand Slams. She's done everything you could ask of a Nike athlete. And they're telling her to wait until 2027? That's not right." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "I'm not going to speak for her, but I will say this. She needs to speak up. She needs to demand what she deserves. I was lucky that New Balance saw my value, but if I had stayed with Nike, would I be getting custom kits? Would I be getting the attention I'm getting now? I honestly don't know. The comments landed like a bomb. Gauff, who had always been diplomatic, was publicly criticizing the brand that had once sponsored her, and in doing so, was validating everything Sabalenka's fans had been saying for years. Makes me so grateful that Coco went with New Balance, one fan posted after Gauff's comments went viral. They actually outbid Nike when she was a junior player. The lore is actually kind of crazy. The question that hung over the controversy was simple. Why was Aryna Sabalenka being overlooked? For Sabalenka's fans, the answer was maddeningly unclear. She had achieved everything Nike could ask of an athlete. She was world number 1, she had won 4 Grand Slams, the same number as Naomi Osaka, who received custom kits for every major tournament. She was the most dominant player in women's tennis with a 23-1 record in 2026 that included titles at the Australian Open, Indian Wells, and Miami. And yet, she was being told to wait. I low-key don't understand what does she have to do, one fan wrote, capturing the frustration of Sabalenka's supporters. She got the same number of slams as Osaka, yet Osaka her customs even for random Masters 1000. Why? The contrast with Eala was even more striking. Eala, who had never won a Grand Slam, who had just dropped to number 45 in the rankings, was receiving custom designs that celebrated her heritage, while Sabalenka, the face of women's tennis, was being ignored. Some fans questioned whether there was a darker reason for the snub. Do you think it's to do with being Belarusian? One fan asked, pointing to the geopolitical tensions that had followed Belarusian athletes since the invasion of Ukraine. Others suggested that Sabalenka should simply leave Nike. Pressure? Just sign elsewhere if they don't value you that much, one fan wrote. Djokovic needs to hook her with Lacoste ATP, another suggested. Even Rybakina getting customs under Yonex. Sabalenka should change her sponsor, maybe Adidas, a fan added. But Sabalenka, for her part, remained measured. She had joked about fans pressuring Nike on Instagram, but she had stopped short of. As the Nike controversy unfolded, Coco Gauff's decision to leave the brand looked more and more like a masterstroke. Gauff had signed with New Balance in 2022, a move that shocked the tennis world. At the time, Nike was the dominant force in tennis apparel, with a roster that included Serena Williams, Naomi Osaka, and Rafael Nadal. New Balance, by contrast, was a distant second, with a fraction of Nike's marketing budget and none of its star power. But Gauff saw something in New Balance that Nike couldn't offer, a commitment to making her the center of their tennis division. She would have her own signature shoe. She would have custom kits for every Grand Slam. She would be the face of the brand's expansion into tennis, not just another name on a crowded roster. The gamble paid off. At the 2023 U.S. Open, Gauff won her first Grand Slam title while wearing New Balance from head to toe. The brand's Make the Leap campaign, which featured Gauff alongside other athletes who had taken risks to achieve greatness, became one of the most successful marketing initiatives in tennis. Now, watching the controversy engulf Nike, Gauff's decision looked even smarter. While Sabalenka waited for custom kits, Gauff had new designs for every tournament. While Sabalenka's fans raged on social media, Gauff's supporters celebrated a brand that had delivered on its promises. Makes me so grateful that Coco went with New Balance. They actually outbid Nike when she was a junior player. The lore is actually kind of crazy. Gauff herself, when asked about her. As the controversy raged, the WTA remained silent. The organization that had spent years battling Nike over uniform regulations, that had sparked the patch wars of the 1990s, that had watched the brand dominate tennis apparel for decades, was now watching the fallout from a conflict it had no power to resolve. The silence was telling. The WTA could enforce rules about logo sizes and placement, it could fine players for wearing the wrong headbands, but it could not force Nike to treat its athletes fairly. It could not make the brand value a world number one the way it valued a rising star from the Philippines. It could not solve the fundamental inequity at the heart of the sport, that a player's commercial value was determined not by her achievements, but by her marketability. For Sabalenka, the situation was a reminder that being the best on the court did not guarantee being valued off it. She had won 4 Grand Slams, spent 2 years at number 1, and established herself as the most dominant player in women's tennis, but Nike had told her to wait. And in the meantime, Eala's Sampaguita jersey was breaking sales records around the world. For Eala, the controversy was an unwelcome spotlight. She had never asked for the custom jersey. She had never demanded special treatment. She had simply played tennis, and the fans had come. But now, the Sampaguita jersey was a triumph for Nike, but it also exposed a fundamental problem with the brand's strategy. By showering attention on a rising star from the Philippines while ignoring the world number 1, Nike had revealed that its priorities were not about athletic achievement, but about market potential. The decision made business sense. The Philippines has 115 million people, a massive diaspora, and a hunger for heroes that Eala had filled perfectly. The commercial value of tapping into that market dwarfed anything Sabalenka could offer, no matter how many Grand Slams she won. But for athletes, the calculus was different. If the world number 1 could be overlooked, what did that say about the value of achievement? If a player who had never won a Grand Slam could command more attention than a 4-time champion, what did that say about the sport's priorities? Gauff had found a way out. She had left Nike for a brand that promised to make her the center of their universe. She had taken a risk, and it had paid off. Now she was urging other athletes to do the same. "I was lucky that New Balance saw my value," she said. "But if I had stayed with Nike, would I be getting custom kits? Would I be getting the attention I'm getting now?" Coco Gauff just went off on Nike after the brand created a custom sampaguita jersey for Eala, a design that broke sales records, crashed websites, and turned the 20-year-old Filipina into a global phenomenon. But behind the celebration, a deeper controversy was brewing. Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 1 and 4-time Grand Slam champion, had just revealed that Nike had denied her custom kits for the 2026 season. Her fans were furious, questioning why the most dominant player in women's tennis was being overlooked while Eala received royal treatment. Gauff, who left Nike for New Balance as a junior, didn't hold back. "She's the number 1 player in the world. She's won 4 Grand Slams. She's done everything you could ask of a Nike athlete, and they're telling her to wait until 2027? That's not right," Gauff said. The comments validated what Sabalenka's fans had been saying for years. "I low-key don't understand what does she have to do," one fan wrote. "She got the same number of slams as Osaka, yet Osaka her customs even for random Masters 1000. Why?" Another questioned whether the snub was about something deeper. "Do you think it's to do with being Belarusian?" Gauff's decision to leave Nike now looks prescient. New Balance made her a priority, giving her signature shoes and custom kits for every Grand Slam. While Sabalenka waits, Gauff celebrates. And as the controversy rages, the WTA remains silent, watching a conflict it has no power to resolve. Should Nike have given Sabalenka custom kits before Eala?